Well, hello! Welcome back to my channel. Jashana here to talk about some friggin' tropes that I really just don't like at all. And I have at least one book to go along as an example with all of these. Some of these are pretty specific, but at least one of them, if not more, one of them definitely is more of a broad trope. It's not that specific, it's a pretty vague one. The first one, though, is a little bit specific, and of course, I'm just making these names up for it to explain it, but the power manifested only through vitriol. When you have a character who has magical powers or whatever, super strength or whatever the case may be, and you know that they have these powers, and they know that they have these powers, but they can't do it. I can't use them. I don't know why. I'm trying really hard, but it's not coming. I can't do the magical thing. Oh my God. Until someone starts screaming at them and telling them, like, you're a piece of shit and I hate you and you're never gonna be anything and you're worthless and I hate your mom and your dad and your brother and your sister and you're all pieces of shit. And then all of a sudden, like, fucking Goku Super Saiyan over here. It drives me nuts. I don't know why. I just don't like it. Especially when, and the example that I have that I had written down, this is not the only place I've ever seen this. It's just, I've had these notes going for months and months and months. When I was reading Remembrance by Rita Woods, there's a character who has had magic her entire life and has been trained. They're trying to train her, but she's always just like, I don't wanna. She's basically just kind of being lazy and apathetic and doesn't think it's that big of a deal. She's being really spoiled and like, I'll worry about that later. But everybody's like, no, you need to practice. Like, it's very important that you practice and know how to use this power, know how to use this magic. And she's like, I'll do it someday. Who cares? And then it's down to the wire and she really needs to use it. And this other girl is like bullying her and being rude to her. And then it's like, okay, well, obviously now she's gonna have her magical powers, and she does. It rings so predictable to me when it happens. Every time I've seen it, this is, again, not the only instance. And I don't necessarily mind when certain things are predictable in books, but for some reason, this thing, I just don't like it. It just rubs me the wrong way. I don't really know why. I just don't care. And the next one is the relentless bully, particularly an adult who is a relentless bully. I also don't love it with kids, but with kids it's like, it makes sense. They're kids, they're dumb, they're mean. Kids are bullies a lot of the time. And of course, I know that adults can be rude and mean and cruel to each other. Just because you're an adult doesn't mean you're suddenly super mature. And I don't mind it when you have adult characters who, say they're in a political or military strategy meeting and they're kind of like, undercutting each other, undermining each other, nitpicking, snarking at each other. Just like they don't like each other and they're being bitches to each other. They're being rude as fuck to each other. That I'm kind of like, whatever, okay. But it's when they are behaving like a childhood bully and being like, you're stupid, I hate you, meh, meh, all the time. Just constantly, it makes me crazy. I hate it. Oh my God. Like, stop, grow up, dude, grow up. It just irks me. And none of these are to say that I think, it's not realistic or something. That's not the case. I just don't like it. I just don't like reading about it. And the example I have for this is in Malice. Frickin' Jael with Castell. Like, dude, give it a rest. Give it a goddamned rest already. You're so annoying. Oh my God. And he only got more annoying as the series went on. This is the one that is very broad, and there's so many books with this. And you guys know I hate this because I talk about it constantly. Miscommunication, whether it be jumping to conclusions based on very little information and assuming a bunch of shit without getting clarification. Like, I walked past the room and I saw you kissing her. And so I ran away and I left the city and I fled the country and I'm never speaking to you again. But then he's like, I wasn't kissing her. She literally jumped on me and you just happened to come in at that exact moment. I pushed her off 2 seconds later. And it's like, 20 chapters later that they have this conversation, and then the girl's like, oh, oh jeez. Well, I didn't know that. Yeah, bitch, you could have fucking asked. What the fuck? It drives me. Oh, I hate it so much. And just like the misunderstandings, like, I just don't. A good example of this that just popped into my head is a book I DNF'd. I loved the first book, Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. Really enjoyed that book. The second book, 12 Days of Dash and Lily, almost immediately DNF'd it because like in the first 2 fucking chapters, they're dating, they're in a relationship, and I can't remember exactly the circumstances, but basically like they were making plans to do something, and in her head she was like, well, he probably just wants me to leave him alone and give him space. And in his head he was like, I guess she probably just doesn't want to talk to me about this, right? And then she's like, okay, so now he's being distant. Obviously I'm right. He wants to, like, he doesn't want to talk to me. And then he's like, oh, she's like not talking to me. Like, I was right. You're fucking stupid. Just talk to each other. Use your goddamn words. Use your goddamn words. Oh my God. I was like, nope, can't do it. DNF, not even gonna try. No, nobody, nope. And then this is kind of a miscommunication also. The big lie. I hate the big lie trope. Specifically, I hate the fucking moment when it's like, okay, I need to tell you the truth. I have to. At some point, for us to continue, it's always in romances, almost always anyway, but at some point for us to continue being together, I'm gonna have to tell you the truth of this. Like, you're gonna find out. I might as well tell you. So, okay, here we go. I'm gonna tell you. And then a fucking horse races past and bumps into you and you fall into the mud. And oh, it's just now I can't tell you. Oh my God. Or we sit down on a park bench and I'm about to tell you the big secret thing that I absolutely am gonna have to tell you at some point in this story. So I'm gonna tell you right now. And then you get an important phone call or an important text and you get distracted. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'll deal with that. It's fine. And then you don't get to talk for 2 more weeks, and then she finds out from somebody else, and now she's pissed. Or like whatever the fuck the situation is. I hate that moment. I hate it so much. And it's another one of these things, the same thing with the general miscommunication, where I'm so not like that. And it just doesn't register in my brain. I can't process that. Like, why the fuck wouldn't you be like, hey, no, put your phone down for just like 2 seconds. This is vitally important, and I promise you're going to want to know this. I promise you this is very important, and I'll only take up like 2 minutes of your time. I have to tell you this, though. They do that. Don't just be like, well, okay, all right, bye. I'll talk to you in 3 weeks. Like, what the fuck? Oh, I hate it. I need to calm down. An example that I thought of for this is another one I DNF'd, and I DNF'd it at this moment in the book. And usually, too, it keeps happening. It's more than once where it's like, okay, they didn't tell him the first time. We're going to try it again. Oh, look, something else came up, and now they didn't tell him again. I personally can't. It could be a very fun book. It could be a very well-written book. Great characters, all that shit. I check out when that happens. And the book I'm thinking of is A Princess in Theory. Just, no. This one, I don't see as, well, I see it in small ways, but one-track-minded vengeance with a utter lack of integrity. No integrity whatsoever. The character who, I don't mind a character that wants revenge. That can be really fun. A character that is like, I'm gonna fucking kill everybody who wronged me and who did XYZ to me and my family or whatever. I'm coming after you bitches. That can be really fun. This can also be just for ambition in general. So it's kind of just a lack of integrity that is the key thing that bothers me here. Whether it is a super ambitious character who has a lack of integrity or a character who is seeking revenge and has a lack of integrity, who will do quite literally anything, even something that goes against their internal moral compass or what their moral compass was before they were wronged or before they had this lofty goal, and it goes against that and they don't care. And I just don't like it. I don't like it. That's why I always liked Marjorie Tyrell, because she was very Like, I am ambitious as fuck, and I'm talking about the TV show. I have not read the full book series, and I don't even know that she's as prominent of a character. But in the TV show, she was very ambitious. Girl knew what she wanted, and she was gonna get it. But she didn't crap all over everybody on the way there. She didn't shit all over innocent people on the way there. And I appreciated that. And an example of the one-track-minded vengeance coupled with a lack of integrity is Queen of the Conquered by Kaysen Callender. Again, the premise of this book, I was like, this sounds so cool. Caribbean-inspired fantasy, magic, this woman who is out for revenge, and she's coming for the colonizers. Hell yeah. But she was gonna do anything and everything to get her vengeance, even if it meant killing innocent people who were her people. And it just doesn't sit right with me, you know? It's just a personal thing. I'm not saying that if you like that kind of a story, like, something is wrong with you. It's a fucking book, it's fiction, it's whatever. But for me personally, it's not fun to read. It bugs me too much, you know? This one is kind of specific, and I've seen it so many times, countless times. The whole, I'm a terrible monster because of what I've done, even though I quite literally had no choice, or I was a literal child and didn't know any better. But people got hurt, so therefore I'm a terrible, terrible monster, and I should just beat myself up all day, every day, for the rest of my life. I just cannot. Or if it was like a complete accident, like there was an accident that happened, and the result of it was somebody died, so I'm an evil murderer now. And I understand that if it's something like that, right? Like if innocent people were killed because of this character's actions, whether they were intentional and they just like, I was brainwashed and I thought it was the right thing, or it was just straight up an accident, or they were like, I was literally held at gunpoint, I had to do it. Whatever the case may be, I get that there's gonna be complicated emotions surrounding that. I get that you're not gonna be like, well, who cares, whatever, I didn't mean to, or like, I had no choice. Like, I don't want a character to be flippant about it. But it's when for years and years and years they just are beating themselves up. They think they're a terrible, useless person now because of this. That's when I get kind of like, okay, because it feels to me like the author trying to beat me over the head with, they're a good person. Look how good of a person they are. They still care about this thing that happened. They still beat themselves up about it because they're such a good person. You can be a good person and still cope with those difficult emotions and process them and move past them. You can be a good person still and not be beating the hell out of yourself emotionally and mentally for literal years about some shit that happened that you didn't really have control over. And the example here is actually a book that I liked, and I'm very excited to read the second book, but this one aspect of it, I was kind of like, okay. And the reason that it worked for me a little bit in this book is because this main character, her memory was a bit jumbled because she had other people's memories in her head. So she kind of couldn't remember how much of it was her fault or not. So it was kind of like, did I know what I was doing? I don't really know if I knew what I was doing. I was a child, but like it was really bad what I was doing, but I kind of didn't have a choice. Like they were holding me hostage, but she just couldn't quite remember the extent of what she did. So this case didn't bother me as much, but I'm thinking of Incendiary by Zoraida Cordova. The main character she was literally a little kid being held captive in this palace. And it was kind of like a Stockholm Syndrome situation where she started to respect and love her captors. And they told her, you have to do these things for us. And you'll get treats and special treatment if you do. And so she did. And in the process, using her powers, had killed some people. And then like 10 plus years later, is still just like, I'm a monster. I don't deserve to live. Like, okay. Is it that intense though? Like I said, it just sometimes in this case it wasn't as bad, but oftentimes for me this just feels like the author trying to be like, they're a really good person. And I don't like that concept that you have to hate yourself for the literal rest of your life for something that was an accident or that you didn't really have a choice to do, or you were a little kid and you didn't know better. Now you have to beat yourself up forever in order to be a good person. No, I reject this notion. And the last one is a very small thing, and it's not something that usually ends up being a big, huge deal in books, but God, when I see it, I just hate it. And I noticed it quite a few times in the Sookie Stackhouse series when I was rereading that last year, or whenever the hell that was. The whole, there's something right at the edge of my memory. I almost thought of it, but it slipped my mind, and now somebody's talking to me and I got distracted. Oh my God, I hate it. To me, it's just such kind of, almost always, I'm sure there are instances where it would make sense or work well for me, but 99% of the time that I've come across this, it just feels like a cheap way of building tension or a cheap way of foreshadowing, you know? And like I said, this one's less severe because it's usually just like it's a couple sentences and then it'll go away, but when I come across it, I'm just like, we're doing this, okay, all right, I guess. And when it happens more than once is when it starts to get really annoying, like in the Sookie Stackhouse series. There was one book where she did this like 4 fucking times, where Sookie kept being like, this mystery that we're trying to figure out, I almost thought of it, and then somebody talked to me, and oh God, fucking stop. So there we go. There's some ranting about some things for you guys today. That felt very cathartic. Let me know down below if you agree with me on any of these and you super hate them as well. And if you don't, what are some that you do super hate and that just rub you the wrong way? As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.